This computer right here, this is the Mammoth. This is from where I used to work. This is my old workstation. Oh my god, this thing is filthy. When I got laid off from working there, I've just kind of taken pieces out here and there, used them for different things, and let people borrow parts and stuff from it, and just kind of never put it back together. I actually had the whole thing cleaned up, and I had formatted it so I could sell it. So right now, I'm pretty sure it doesn't even have an OS on it, or it might just have like a bare install of Windows. But basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to clean this up and then get it running. Okay, here, I'll kind of run you down the backstory here of what I was going to do. So my plan was to have a computer in the living room. The main games that we usually ended up playing would be Forza, Halo, or emulators, and play like N64 or PS1 or something. And this computer just ends up being the one that just sits. It never ends up actually getting to do anything, because no one wants to sit with a keyboard and a mouse at the couch when they can just grab a controller on the Xbox or whatever. One of the things that I wanted to do is I was really torn between the difference of having a SteamBox running SteamOS, because then I could run all of these PC games with an Xbox controller. So we could just have an Xbox controller hooked up wirelessly and everything's fine. We could just basically use this as a SteamBox. But the thing with Steam is you still can't run emulators, at least with ease. So now SteamOS would be like the ideal solution here, because that gets the most bang for buck out of this system, because the graphics card for it is a GTX 1060, and it's the 6GB variant. This is a GeForce GTX 1060 Gaming X6G. So this is the 6GB 1060. It's very dusty, needs to be cleaned. All in all, great card, has served me well. This is the original card from this. I just had this out because I was doing something with it on a different computer. But now that's done, so that can go back in. And I figured that's where I will start this video, because with the graphics card back in, I just have to make sure the hard drive's hooked up and everything is connected properly, and then we can actually start getting this underway. Back to what I was talking about with the SteamOS. Having a 1060, an i7 5820K, so that's a LGA 2011-3 processor, so that's like an overkill 6-core nonsense processor for gaming, so that's more than acceptable with a 1060. I actually think that the 1060 is still a bottleneck for that. I'll have to look, it might be the opposite way, but like they're pretty much like a perfect match. And then I have 32 gigs of RAM. This is just some G-Skill something, so these are DDR4 2400, so it's nothing crazy. They're 4GB modules each, so this was mostly just for aesthetic. I bought the cheapest RAM that I could with a black PCB that also matched the red and black theme. So this was the cheapest option that I had, and it just had to fill all 8 of the RAM channels there. That was the cause of my RAM selection, was I just wanted it to look good and have all of the slots filled. On the edge of the PCB here, where it's red, that's nail polish. And it worked mint. So now back to the operating system for this is SteamOS. Has great specifications for it. Has here, this is a M.2 SSD, so it's not NVMe, it's just regular SATA, but I just had it laying around, so I threw it in just for sake of ease, because I don't have to run any extra wires or SATA cables. Like a lot of these I think can come out, because I'm pretty sure these are actually just dead drives. Yeah, like these are just dead drives as filler, just so I didn't have empty spaces, because I think only here were the ones with the 8TB drives, and then when I sold 3 of them, I didn't want to have the empty spaces, because I used to have 6 8TB drives when this was the storage server for where I used to work. These are just dummies, so those can all come out. And then 2 of the remaining drives I put in the Aorus Omega behind me there. And then this is the last one, and it's not hooked up, so we have to run the wires and everything, make sure all that's good. So another 8TB hard drive. So this is going to be where the games are stored, and then the operating system itself will be off of the 500GB SATA SSD M.2. And 32 gigs of RAM, GTX 1060. CPU is liquid cooled, just all-in-one cooler, and that has been more than sufficient for it because it hasn't been overclocked ever. There's something wrong with this motherboard where some of the USB ports stopped working. I was reading things online saying that it could be the CPU power at the top, but I never figured it out. So pretty much for gaming with wireless controllers, this is the perfect computer for that. And then I also think this is like a 650 or 750 watt power supply. I don't remember what it is because I wrapped it. in 3M camo black vinyl. So that's the same stuff from D-Brand, their Shadow Black, whatever it's called. So it's a 3M 1080 series. It's the same stuff that I used on my laptop. So, I don't remember what it is, because I peeled the stickers right off when I did that. But I mean, the power supply is more than sufficient. Now, the only downfall with SteamOS was running emulators or running retro games, because you have to buy the retro games on SteamOS, and if they're not on SteamOS, then you have to figure out alternative ways to get SteamOS to run an emulator, to run the ROMs, and it's a huge headache. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was I've worked a lot with Laka, which is just a very stripped down version of Linux and uses RetroArch as the front end. So then you can boot into like a PS3 style XMP little cross system thing or whatever of the interface for running emulators. So you just load all of your ROMs on it. It has all of the emulators built in. So when it detects Game Boy ROMs or N64 ROMs, PS1 ROMs, it just automatically adds those categories because it automatically detects that those will work with the PS1 emulator, and then it also has different variants of PS1 emulators, so it's like, it's really intuitive. I really love it for emulators. So this would have been the perfect retro game console, as we have tons of space for games, fast boot drive for running emulators, tons of RAM, so we're not going to have any issues there, liquid cooling, so it's not going to be crazy noisy or anything, and then we have a 1060, so all of the shading and everything, because emulators are like almost 100% CPU, if not they are 100% CPU. I think the GPU is only run for like shadows and textures and like mods and stuff that you add to them. I could be wrong, but that's as far as I've seen anyway, is they're pretty much entirely CPU based, so the CPU is more than enough for emulators. The GPU is overkill. Like a 1060 is overkill for running Pokemon on Game Boy, or like Spyro for PS1 or something. So I wanted to run SteamOS and still have retro games. So I've been looking into this, and I ended up finding this operating system called Vapor OS, and I've never used it before, but it literally says it's Steam OS with extra features. And then you go down and it says features. Vapor OS contains all features found in Steam OS plus the following additions: RetroArch, an emulator front-end support for PSP, PS1, N64, SNES, NES, GBA, and more. It's literally exactly what I wanted. And then you can even run Kodi, but I have Flex set up, so I don't need to run this. And then Vapor OS FTP, so then I can just transfer any ROMs onto this if I ever find some other games. Like if I find Sonic for like Neo Geo or something, I can download that ROM for it and then transfer it over, because I like to have the physical copy before I have a ROM, because it's a gray area. Like the games are so old, they're worth nothing, but I just feel like if you physically have it, it's just better bragging rights of just actually having the ROMs that you're essentially pirating in a gray legal area. So I don't know, it's more fun. I prefer to find them before I do it. It's more accomplishing rather than just having thousands of ROMs. You can be like, yeah, I just found Sonic, I'm gonna play it tonight, and then just download the ROM and play it because of your success of actually going out and finding a cartridge for a game console that hasn't existed for years. So it's just more of an achievement to find the console cartridges than it is to just download all the ROMs and just relive your childhood. Just gives you more to do, makes it more fun. But anyway, this looks amazing. Like, it looks like everything that I've wanted. You need Intel or AMD 64-bit capable processor, which this is, 4GB or more of RAM, we have 32, 30GB or more hard drive or SSD, we have 500GB SSD. Following graphics card are supported: NVIDIA GTX 600 series or newer, and we have a 1060, so we also meet that there. And then it says it can be installed by DVD or USB stick. So on their website, download the latest version. So download here. I don't even know if you guys can see this because I have the exposure cranked on this because it's so dark down here. So under the download thing, you just hit here, the word here, and then that downloads. And then for installing from USB, it has the link right to Etcher. You download Etcher, then it comes up. You load the ISO file in there. You load your USB stick that you want to go to, and then you flash. And now it's flashing, and then that's it.